if you have been following the news at all over the past week, you know that President Trump pardoned Juan Orlando Hernandez, who was the former president of Honduras. And last year, Hernandez was convicted on drug trafficking and weapons charges, sentenced to 45 years in prison. Prosecutors said Mr. Hernandez was key to a scheme that lasted more than 20 years and brought more than 500 tons of cocaine into the United States. It was a 2-week trial in Manhattan. It involved references of bags of cash, a machine gun with Hernandez's name emblazoned on it, bribes from the drug lord Joaquin Guzman, or El Chapo. It was an extended case, and I think the first, he was elected in 2013, and I think the case started under the Trump administration, if I'm not mistaken. At least I know that Beauvais was working on it. You may have heard of that, or you may be a senator.
Eric Schmidt.
Yes, here he is.
In the Senate. And Senator, let me just begin where we left off with Congressman Smith. Do you support this pardon of the former Honduran president?
I'm not familiar with the facts or circumstances, but I think what's telling here is to try to imply that somehow President Trump is soft on drug smuggling is just ridiculous.
Pause it for 1 second.
It's totally ridiculous.
What's amazing is he's not familiar with the facts or the circumstances around the pardon of this drug kingpin, but he does know enough that it has to do with drugs coming into the country. Remember, the other story that maybe he hasn't heard of, even though he's on the Armed Services Committee, is that we are unilaterally bombing boats that aren't even headed to the United States because ostensibly they're bringing drugs in which could harm people. And yet, that same week, Donald Trump is pardoning a guy who was responsible for, what is it, how many tons? 500 tons of cocaine coming into the United States.
And only half of that went to Don Jr.
Exactly.
I mean, you got to pardon your Sons Connect.
Drug smuggling is just ridiculous. It's totally ridiculous. He's provided border security like we've never seen before. And the fact is, these cartels now, because the southern border is closed, they've gone to the high seas. So President Trump is acting with his core Article 2 powers. Can
I just point out when I think it was H.W. Bush was really going on the drug war, they were coming in through the Gulf of Mexico, and so we needed to do a bunch of stuff there, and then they started going over the Rio Grande, and now we're just moving them back to where they were coming in like 25 years ago.
Also, like the way they all talk like
well,
Trump
they
now.
supposedly don't come via the Gulf of Mexico. They come via the Pacific now. And the admiral himself apparently told senators that boat was not headed to the United States.
Right.
That it was headed to Suriname, and apparently to just hook up with another boat that was going to send drugs to Europe. Go ahead.
2 powers. No serious legal expert would doubt that the president has authority to blow narco terrorists out of the water who are poisoning 100,000 Americans every year. If you watch the SEC championship game yesterday, the Big Ten championship game, combine those 2 stadiums with the number of people there, that's how many people are dying each and every year from the poison that's coming from these narco terrorists. So the fact is, George, President Trump has been delegated the authority by Congress to designate terrorist organizations. He's done that. He sent a letter to Congress saying he was going to initiate these strikes. We've had regular briefings about it, including from Secretary of State Rubio, including from the high-ranking officials in the Department of Defense. He's executing those. And so now what we have now are Democrats who have such X-ray vision and clairvoyance that they know the intentions of narco-terrorists on boats, yet we're so blind to see that they had a president for 4 years that was operating as a vegetable in Joe Biden. So, forgive me if I'm a little skeptical that this isn't all about politics and trying to take out Secretary Hegseth. That's what this whole thing's been about, George. They didn't want him confirmed. They didn't want a realist in place. They didn't want to shift from their pet projects around the world and trying to build democracies in the sands of the Middle East by the barrel of a gun. We have core national interests at stake, the homeland in the Western Hemisphere, and the rise of China. That's what this administration is focused on. The Democrats are just upset about that, and they try to create some controversy each and every week, and it goes nowhere.
What do you mean?
Oh, no, you asked him again.
You're not familiar with the facts and circumstances of the pardon. It's been
Go
well reported
back a little bit. I'm sorry. So we just get this question clean.
Each and every week, and it goes nowhere.
What do you mean you're not familiar with the facts and circumstances of the pardon? It's been well reported all across the country. He's the former president of Honduras. He was convicted of conspiring to bring in 400 tons of cocaine into the United States, also guns and other materials. It's been front page news across the country. Aren't you curious about that?
Well, I'm curious about your pushback on that particular point. With your previous guest, you had zero pushback because he's giving the Democrat talking points like you spew every single week, which is probably why your ratings are so bad. But to make the point, what I'm saying is that you're trying to divert here the attention from what the American people actually support. 75% of Americans support us blowing narco terrorists out of the water in the
But the question is actually premised on the idea that if you say this is so popular, why would Donald Trump pardon one of the biggest drug importers into this country?
Yeah, go ahead, Matt.
The way that they talk about these deaths is so gross. They don't care about these deaths at all. About 200,000 people deaths caused in this country by prescription opioid abuse of prescription opioids. The Sackler family. But that doesn't really gel with the narrative they want to do, which is to use military power to just control the world. So we, like those people, who cares? We're not going to do anything about them. Actually, we're going to pardon all sorts of corporate criminals and international criminals, but just feel content that we're doing violence against brown people, and then you could be happy about it.
And I'm glad you brought up the Sacklers, because I made sure to look up this date here that I had it right, and it was towards the end of the Trump administration when the DOJ reached that settlement with Purdue that was widely considered to be a very easy penalty that I don't think that they had to acknowledge any wrongdoing. The Sackler family, worth an estimated $13 billion, only had to cover $225 million in civil penalties without acknowledging any wrongdoing. And this was under the Trump administration. So instead of actually addressing the people that just turbocharge the opioid crisis and addiction crisis in this country, we're going to kill dozens of innocent fishermen off the coast of Venezuela as a pretext to invade them for their oil, and then pretend it's about you and pretend it's about the opioid crisis and what people have experienced across this country. And when overdose deaths started going down, that was under Joe Biden, in part because of his administration's policies about Narcan and harm prevention, not harm reduction, I'm sorry, that the Trump administration completely scrapped.
Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.